You treat displays of self-importance as evidence of strength, not realizing each one betrays your emptiness. The power you claim drains you from within. Arthur Schopenhauer, the German philosopher who exposed the illusions driving human desire. In On the Basis of Morality, this thinker exposes the hidden engine beneath public posturing, the place where pride tries to pass for substance. Compassion is the basis of morality. Most of us invert that law, clinging to superiority to protect ourselves from being flattened by the world. The feeling of emptiness creeps in as we climb higher on other people's backs, mistaking distance for mastery. Self-importance becomes armor, and soon the person inside withers, unrecognized even by himself. Every gesture of superiority is an admission of deep vulnerability, even desperation. The harder he presses to be seen as exceptional, the more fragile that self-image becomes, and the less room there is for honest connection. What once felt like strength soon feels like a suffocating mask you can't take off. In Studies in Pessimism, the philosopher tightens the grip of this spiral. Every man takes the limits of his own field of vision for the limits of the world. That's the trouble. When locked inside this cramped sense of self, every challenge feels like a personal affront. Nothing outside our own hunger for validation seems real. We become blind to the suffering of others, dismissive of experiences not labeled as our own. Compassion feels irrelevant or even dangerous because it threatens the hard crust of self-importance. The world contracts around us, indistinguishable from the walls of our ego. What we hope will protect us instead isolates us, transforming status into a jail cell of solipsism and suspicion. This collapse is not just philosophical, it's psychological ruin disguised as victory. The more energy we pour into defending and expanding the self, the more brittle and defensive that self becomes. What's lost is a genuine sense of belonging and relationship. Life lived as a contest burns down the shared ground that real strength grows from. Trust and intimacy are impossible because any vulnerability feels like surrender. So emptiness spreads, quietly, tethered to every louder claim of importance. The descent has begun, and most never realize they're falling. You know that moment deep down when you look in the mirror and catch something hollow in your own eyes? That's when the truth claws at you. This relentless self-obsession is carving a void inside you. No amount of clever arguments or outward success fills the airless room you've built for yourself. Now the hunger for validation starts tasting like ash. Where others seem content, you only feel defective, separate, almost erased. The mind begins to spin. Is this all there is? Did you misread every sign about what actually matters? You find yourself faking confidence, bellowing louder to drown out a quieter, more terrifying question. What if this whole way of living is a trick? That's the edge this thinker pulls us toward, the dawning suspicion that our mirror is not reflecting the world, but distorting it. In Parerga and Paralipomena, he presses the blade in deeper. Mostly, it is loss which teaches us about the worth of things. When you finally lose what you chased, admiration, approval, that perfect version of yourself, you stand amid the ruins, and only then, stripped raw, does the world feel real again. There is no comfort in this, only naked confrontation. Here's the moment that should shake you awake. If your own reflection comforts you, it's already lying. Let that sink in. A mirror built from your needs and fears can only ever show you a mask. This is the gutting realization. The life you sacrificed so much to curate can disappear in a breath, and all you're left with is yourself, blinking at a stranger's face. Even connection cannot survive if forged only to prop up this brittle self-image. The more you try to fortify it, the more its cracks show. When loss finally forces the mask to fall, you see how much you missed. The color in another's laugh, the staggering beauty of every passing moment. That's the secret horror nobody wants to admit. You wasted years defending something that never existed outside your own desperate gaze. And now, the old defenses will not resurrect what mattered. The world untouched by your illusions. The darkness that started as protection seals to you is blindness. Only shock can break it. But that shock is a beginning, not an ending. It is the razor that splits illusion from reality. In The World as Will and Representation, this philosopher strips away another layer. A man can be himself only so long as he is alone. Cut from the crowd, without an audience to impress or mirrors to please, what is left? Silence, sometimes terror, but also something strange, relief. You become more than your pose and your frantic self-corrections. You become possible again. The public self, addicted to approval, dissolves in solitude. What's left might feel fragile, but it is real in a way nothing else is. This turning point reshapes your relationship to isolation. Alone, stripped bare of feedback and expectation, you meet your own mind without disguise. At first, it's uncomfortable. The urge to fill the space with noise will claw at you. But fight through, and you glimpse a version of yourself untouched by flattery or judgment. For once, actions arise from want, not want to appear. You begin to realize how much energy was wasted maintaining the mask. Without it, thoughts grow heavier but clearer. Regret stings, but it's honest. Desire flickers, uncensored. Here, you finally own your experience. Historically, cultures feared this solitude. The individual wandering apart was branded as odd, even dangerous. Conformity kept one safe, at least according to the logic of the crowd. Today, the fear is internalized, coded into every scroll, like, and story we chase. That dopamine-hit feedback loop is just a digital mirror, polished sharper than glass. Alone with our own minds, we discover the silent cost of constant validation. It never ends in peace. It ends in detachment from reality, real connection withered by showmanship. What is lost when you refuse solitude? Not just authenticity, but the raw material of thought, intimacy, and presence. What's gained is a brittle comfort that can shatter at the first cold wind of loss. Change comes the moment you accept the mirror's limitations and step into the unknown. The same book spells this inevitability out. Change alone is eternal, perpetual, immortal. The world will shift again, and so will you if you don't run from truth. By surrendering your obsession with appearances and facing solitude, you can inhabit yourself instead of your reflection. There is no shortcut, no easy return to comfort. But for those willing to endure the darkness, something richer and stranger is waiting. It is an end to being ruled by the mirror, and the first step into a life shaped from the inside out. Only by confronting solitude can you truly reclaim your authentic self. Embrace the unknown to discover deeper connections and insights. If this resonated with you, subscribe to the channel and comment below. What hidden truths about yourself are you ready to face?